I like the book myself, but it's my book after all. But I began to get these reports from a lot of people saying this capsized my boat, this is the last book, this is the one that did it, that kind of thing. And I have spent quite a bit of time trying to understand that, including reading the book through again from start to finish, as if I were reading it for the first time. Most books in this field purport to explain to you how to wake up, how to be enlightened, or how to awaken. And I don't think the 10,000 Things ever does that at any point. I couldn't find a point where it tells you how to do anything. I think all it does is remove some of the presumptions and truisms that all of us have engraved in our minds. They were put there by others when we were just children. And I'm just providing some incentive to look at those and see if you really need them and see if they are really valuable or not. Clearly, we all want to have some kind of comforting conviction that makes the world seem solid or makes my being here seem greater than momentary. Whatever it is, my career, my family, we all want those things. But the truth is we don't have them. At any moment, all of that can go away, just like the use of my arm went away in a split second. And I think that is what I keep reiterating in the 10,000 Things that seems to get through to people. All you really have is now. That's all we ever have. We want to imagine that we're going to arrive at this destination and everything will be this way and that way, and it will be better than what I'm forced to suffer now. But when we look into it deeply, I think we have to admit that we don't really know that. We may believe it. We may believe that God is watching and taking care of everything, or that everything happens for a reason, or whatever the belief is. But when we look into it deeply, I think we're forced to admit that we don't really know that.
So you believe that all metaphysical claims are bullshit?
No, I don't believe that all metaphysical claims are bullshit. I think that metaphysics is a very personal matter, and that getting your answers from someone else is bullshit.
Okay, so Johnny Come Lately is making claims about the nature of reality, and he's telling me that I need to meditate for 20 to 30 years, and then I can experience the truth that he has experienced. You're saying that what is it about his claim, or his claim to knowledge? He's claiming he knows something, and he's telling me how I can know that. Like a method. He's giving me knowledge, and he's giving me a method to know. And so I could spend 30 years meditating and to verify his claim. That would be my whole life. My whole life would be spent. I'd have to put a lot of faith into that claim and that, right? I mean, so somebody else makes a claim about the nature of reality and how to know, how to come to the truth that they have come to. I'm just trying to see, what is it about the claim or the epistemology, the knowing? I guess it's not verifiable. It's verifiable if I use his method, right? According to him.
No, I wouldn't say that it's verifiable if you use his method. To begin with, I don't know if there are any truths in that sense. That if there's one truth that represents reality, I really don't know if there is such a thing. That's a very, very big assumption. It's an assumption also that human beings have sufficient brain power on any level to comprehend the entire universe, of which we're only a tiny fragment, tiniest part. So that's already a rather egotistical point of view that these
Mhm.
gurus are putting out. I have attained such and such through higher reasoning. Well, how did you get the higher reasoning? Well, I stared at the wall for 30 years. And it became clear. Other people say other things, like Jesus loves you, and if you practice contemplation on the Holy Spirit, Jesus will appear to you. You'll hear his voice. And there are people who believe that. I'm not saying that any of that is bullshit. It's just unverifiable. And you don't have a way to verify it. This guy can tell you, meditate for 30 years, and you'll see it too. And you can meditate for the 30 years, and either you won't see it, and when you go to him, if he's still alive, probably won't be. So he's got that going for him. You can't sue the guy. But assuming he's alive, you go to him and say, man, I did everything you said for 30 years, and I didn't see that. Well, he's going to say, well, you didn't do it right. You have to do it right. And then, it's really like a joke.
Yeah.
And then even if he has found something that he finds personally satisfying, how do you know that he isn't hypnotized? How do you know that meditation isn't a form of self-hypnosis? In my view, it almost always is. Not always. There is a state of deep contemplation that's worthwhile. People always say, why do you put down meditation, Robert? Well, because they're not really hearing my attitude. I don't put it down. I just say it's another thing to do. I mean, you could have a kensho, an awakening experience, while you're having an orgasm. As human beings, we have these experiences. We all do. But they're usually just momentary. And we don't notice that because we have this other script that's running. When do I get mine? What's for lunch? Sex fantasies are a very, very big part of it. And these things keep us from noticing these moments of awakeness. Why would you? Here you are, a nice looking young fellow. You got your life ahead of you. I'm serious.
Yeah.
You know, why would you want to spend 30 years sitting on your butt? This is a beautiful world. There's so many things to do here. And if there's going to be an awakening, why can't it happen while you're doing those things?
Yeah.
All you really need to do, I say, is be attentive. And meditation, sitting on a cushion and all that stuff, that may be a way of being attentive for some people.
Okay.
But there's other ways of being attentive. Right now, in this moment, as you and I are conversing, what stops you from understanding that I'm not here except as a voice in your head and images on a screen that are in your brain? You have no way of verifying that there is such a thing as Robert. No way. It's all you. It's all taking place in your mind. Yes or no?
Well, yeah, I guess everything's taking place right here, in this moment. In my mind, I'm sensing all the stuff that you're talking about. Image of you, the sounds of your voice, this body, my body. That's all here right now.
Yes. Well, you mentioned epistemology. That's a beautiful word, the E word. I love that word. For those who don't know that word, all it means is the study of what we know and how we can know it. How what we know can be known. On what can we rely to provide information. Well, Descartes, Rene Descartes, who was really big on epistemology, came up with this idea. He said, how do you know that everything you think you know and see isn't being created by some kind of evil magician? This is the words he used. And just put there in your mind. How do you know that? You have no way of knowing that. We have no way of knowing. This is a more up-to-date idea. For all we know, for all you know, you could be in the matrix. And this is all taking place through a programmed flow of ones and zeros that just creates this entire world. Well, some people, when I mention that idea, they say, well, that's a bit extreme or that's crazy. But I don't think it is. I don't mean that we're living in the matrix. You know, that's sci-fi. But it's real in the sense that we have no way of verifying that there's an outside world, that there's a world beyond this mind. We actually have no way of verifying that. And I think if one can admit to himself or herself that that is our actual epistemological posture or situation, then you are awake. Then you are in what John Troy calls not knowing. You're in the situation. It's not that I'm not saying that there is no outside world. That then I would be knowing that, which I don't know. What I'm saying is I have no way of knowing if there's an outside world. No way. And so I'm in the posture of radical not knowing. And that's what I call being awake. See, the gurus that you mentioned, that is not what they mean. When they say awake, what they mean is you're going to find out that you and God are one and the same, or you and Brahma are identical, or whatever their sales pitch is. And I'm saying no one will ever know such a thing. You could be deluded, you could be hypnotized. These teachers, they could be entirely deluded, entirely. And they say with absolute certainty, I know reality, I know truth. This is the truth. And you just have to listen to me and I will give you the path. And you follow it step by step and you arrive. And I agree. If you follow that path, you will arrive. But the question is, where will you arrive? You might arrive at Vedanta. But if you follow another path, you might arrive at Buddhism. And then the Buddhists and the Vedantists can get together and argue because they don't agree on what reality is. They entirely disagree about what reality is. I don't know if a lot of spiritual students understand that, but there's not one truth that everyone agrees on. If there were, that would make this a different proposition. Then you would just say, am I in the club or I'm not in the club? But there's so many clubs.
Yeah.
And which one do you want?